head right. Oh yeah, baby. It's head right time. That's right. That's right. Let me get my sip before I get started, man, because I'm telling you, you know the craziness come across my desk and I got to talk about it. And then I got to get inoculated from the cray-cray. All right. So when I talk about cray-cray, man, we just followed up with, Juneteenth. Like I said, hey, come back. Where you going? Where you going? We got, so in June, man, June's got some weird juju going in it, man. So we got Father's Day, Juneteenth, and the so-called Pride Month, right? And you know how your brother Zoe feel about pride, right? Pride is poison in anybody's hands, man. It's the first sin. I'm telling you, it goes bad. It goes bad. So look, there's a lot to unpack here, man, and I'm gonna try to keep it short. I'm gonna try. Okay, but let's see. First, let me take on Juneteenth and what is it? The commandeering, the straight up jack of Pride Month, right? It's like you got Juneteenth. And the Democrats are going to take the credit for Juneteenth, and Republicans dropped the ball on this. They dropped the ball on it and gave the Democrats another victory for them to go ahead and beat Republicans over the head with. Sorry, Republicans, you dropped the ball on this. Okay, but between that and then they're going to turn around and after they claim Juneteenth, after they try to take the credit, which they did, they take the credit for Juneteenth, then they turn around and just pee on Juneteenth and hand June over to the LGBT community to make it their month. During the month of Father's Day to boot. Okay, and when you got Democrats out there talking about, you need to learn to be a father, you got to be, they're doing a whole campaign about being fathers. Don't forget to be a father day. Well, don't forget for some of these people need to forget that they're not, that they're actually not fathers, right? Actually, they need to be reminded, actually, you're a woman, you're not a dad. You know, so some people actually need to be reminded that while they're out there saying, don't forget to be a father day. And the thing is, a lot of Republicans are caught up in that too, trying to talk about the importance of fathers, which being a father is important. But more important than that is to be a husband in order of the Lord. Okay, anybody get out there and be somebody's baby daddy, okay? We got a whole culture of that, baby daddies. All right, there's a whole culture of that, and Democrats have benefited from that. All right. So, but we're told that we need to have fathers. No, you need to have husbands. Why do you think we have so many broken people out there right now? Because they come from broken families. These people are emotionally cracked up, emotional wrecks, because they do not understand they don't have an example of what it is to actually have a solid relationship. They don't know. They can't respect women because they didn't see that respect shown by their father toward his wife. They don't know how to respect men because they didn't see the respect in the opposite. So they don't know. And more these generations are just piling up on each other. So, but we put the importance on being fathers. No, it's important to be a marital unit in order of the Lord. And I have to say that. I have to say in order of the Lord, because of course you got people, mothers and fathers out there. They're not in the order of the Lord though. They're emboldening their kids to change their sex. Okay, so now, and that's why the word of God, it tells you in these last days, in the days of Noah, when things were really jacked up, it says people were eating, drinking, and marrying. There's nothing wrong with eating. There's nothing wrong with drinking some wine. And there's nothing wrong with getting married. The problem is what people do with it. And you leave the Lord out of it. You ain't got no gratitude for the food that you're eating. You're not grateful to the Lord. You're going to have some health problems. Chances are real good. And we see our nation thinking that it's too good to acknowledge God for the food they're having and not getting their sustenance in the way that the Lord intended for us to do, like letting the ground rest and doing all that sort of stuff and not cross breeding and doing these weird things with your food that your body doesn't understand that didn't come directly from the ground. Yeah, those things become problematic for us. People abusing drink, people trying to find fulfillment in their spouse. Oh, you complete me. Right? That kind of stuff. It leads to problems until people are trying to seek other ways to define marriage, to find some sort of fulfillment in their life, and it doesn't work. Those are the problems. All right. And these people, and despite how much they tell their spouse, how much they complete them, They have children with them. And then here comes the dooming language that my children are the most important thing in my life. You just put your children before your marriage, and that will doom your marriage. You made idols out of your kids. It will doom your marriage. That's why marriage has had such a horrible success rate. All right. Your kids need to see that the most valuable thing in your life is the Lord who blessed you with your marriage in the first place, and then your spouse. That gives your kids security. We got a whole bunch of insecure kids out there, don't we? Growing up more and more. Emotional flipping wrecks. Don't even know which bathroom to use. Okay, that's what we end up getting. But people think they're too sophisticated to listen to what the Word of God says. They're above that. They cannot show, it is a show of strength to them to not have that kind of vulnerability. It is too beneath them to be vulnerable before the Lord. And that arrogance is what, and that pride is what's killing our country. The word says pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before the fall, but I guess that doesn't apply to some of y'all. Right? So that's what we get. And the reason why I'm saying one of these things is because I just did a episode of The Virtue Signal with my buddy Bill Whittle, and some of the comments that I get, of which some, a lot of them I appreciated. But some of these comments, y'all, these are the liabilities to the Republican Party. These people are saboteurs. Like I see a person who leaves a comment like this one. Of course, Juneteenth is on Father's Day, ruins it for real fathers along with Pride Month. Not going to even watch this video. So I guess you have the winning strategy that's going to fight against this. You don't want to hear another perspective and just outright follow your prejudice against this video before you would even hear what it had to say. You want to go out there and you want to listen to the mainstream conservatives who are telling you nothing that is going to help you in the culture with this. Sure, you'll get informed. You'll go ahead and get all the armament that you need to go ahead and pack your guns with, so you can shoot yourself in the foot or shoot the gun straight up in the air so the bullet comes back on top of you. But you have no idea, and you have no idea that, or just don't care that you are a liability to us and a saboteur who are making it that much harder for Republicans to advance in this culture. These are the reasons. Now, this person is talking about real fathers. While you got the Democrats out there dominating the scene on what a real father is supposed to be, and even a woman can be one. You weren't very helpful to us in this area. Okay? So you want to reject Juneteenth. And like I said, and let me say this from the outset, I do not think that Juneteenth should be some alternative holiday to the 4th of July, a holiday for black folks to celebrate. I do not think that at all. I don't think that it should be some federal holiday. It's divisive. And that's not something that should be done. What should have been done, though, is for Republicans to maintain the kung fu grip on it. Instead of letting these, it's like you got these Republicans act like they're so hardcore. The most limp-wristed of Democrats was able to snatch this from your grip and use it against you. This is why you lose in the culture. It doesn't matter what politician you get in there. It will not hold up. It will not be sustainable. It will not be stable. And you let Democrats take this from you. All right. And you act like it's something to be ashamed of. Juneteenth, Republicans are at the root of Juneteenth. So you have people like this that want to make like this is some shameful thing. You've allowed Democrats to make it a shameful thing. Use it to shame you while they take glory for themselves. Okay, where were you, Dad? Who says that I guess you're among the real fathers? Well, you dropped the ball on this one. Okay, so another person says, don't try to claim this white guilt holiday for the right. Again, saboteur. And y'all, it's bad enough, y'all. It's bad enough when I see comments like this. You know what the real twist of the knife is? When I hardly see any so-called Republicans come in there and refute this. They just leave it alone. You leave it alone. You just ignore it. Y'all seem to forget that the Democrats thrive on ignorance, especially yours. You want to go ahead and ignore this, the Democrats are going to take full advantage of it. You need to come in there and say that, look, man, and even if it is a troll, you need to say this kind of stuff ain't welcome here. But you don't. And y'all want to act like you're going to take the country back. You can't even take a flipping YouTube thread back. You can't even do that. But you're going to take your country back. Conservatives act like they're afraid of each other. Because you know what you're going to get. You're going to come in there and say, look, man, I'm just trying to help you. Because this kind of stuff, man, this is actually a detriment to us. And you're going to get this feedback. You just mind your own business. I'll do what I want. I got the First Amendment right to say what I want, all that sort of stuff. You're going to get a whole bunch of defensive neck wiggling is what you're going to get. And you're going to get cussed out. That's why. So you think that you're going to handle these Democrats. And you think that you're going to take your country back. You ain't taking the radio back. You ain't taking TV back. You ain't taking the schools back. You ain't taking nothing back. Come and take it. How much are they going to take before you actually act on what it is that you're talking about? So this person is trying to say that this is a white guilt holiday. Actually, Juneteenth was blacks celebrating people. It wasn't them guilt tripping people. They were celebrating people who fought for their liberation, most of whom were white. It wasn't a guilt trip holiday. It was a celebration. You let the Democrats take that from you, and they turned it into an operation of white guilt. You let that happen. So Republicans wonder why they don't hold up in the culture. It's because of stuff like this. Okay, so who else we got? Now somebody comes in and says his granduncle, I guess 3 generations back, General David Hunter. Okay, so wow, this was his uncle, right? Talking about April 25th, 1862, General Order Number 11, Headquarters Department. I'm assuming that's what that abbreviation stands for. I'm not going to sit here and assume that I am fluent in military jargon. But says, and this is at Port Royal, South Carolina, it says the 3 states of Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina compromised in the military department of the South, having deliberately declared themselves to no longer under the, and some of y'all are probably familiar with this story, deliberately declared themselves no longer under the protection of the United States of America, and having taken up arms against the said United States, it becomes a military necessity to declare them under martial law. This was accordingly done on the 25th day of April, 1862. Slavery and martial law in a free country are altogether incompatible. The persons in these 3 states, Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina, heretofore held as slaves, are therefore declared forever free. This is General David Hunter, who achieved fame by issuing an unauthorized order in April 1862, freeing the slaves in Florida, also Georgia and South Carolina. Now, upon hearing of Hunter's Emancipation Proclamation, Abraham Lincoln declared that order null and void, right? Despite, I guess, David Hunter and Abraham Lincoln being like best of friends. So these are things that will have some saying that Lincoln was indifferent or was in no hurry to liberate slaves and all that sort of stuff. This is absolutely not true. Okay, now, the official record of why Lincoln did this, y'all, is because he was concerned about its political effects. All right, so political effects in the border states, which he was trying to keep neutral. Okay, so their leaders advocated instead a gradual emancipation with compensation for the slave holders, despite Lincoln's concerns that immediate emancipation in the South might drive some slaveholding unionists to support the Confederacy. The national mood was quickly moving against slavery, especially within the Army. Okay, now, before I continue with that, I think it's kind of interesting to have accounts like this that people want to just bring up as if Lincoln was in no hurry to end slaves, or that the war wasn't about slavery or anything like that. Despite accounts like this that people, Republicans, they usually bring up and try to say that the war wasn't about slavery, when you have Lincoln making these political moves to try to avoid a war based on what? Slavery. right? It's right there in front of you. While y'all try to say that the war had nothing to do with slavery, there it is right in front of you. These same things that they try to throw in our face, say Lincoln didn't care about freeing slaves and the war wasn't about slavery. Then what the crap was that? Right? So you've got things like that. And the sad thing also is that Republicans today, too many, don't make the connection with how belligerent Democrats are and what they feel entitled to. Y'all don't seem to make the connection, right? And this is what Lincoln was dealing with the Democrats of his day, right? And on top of that, y'all, here's the thing, y'all. There weren't enough contingencies and recourse in place to just emancipate the slaves at that time. Okay? When you have Democrats insisting that it's their right, their state's right, to own slaves and don't acknowledge black people as people, right? Y'all, they would have ignored the Emancipation Order of David Hunter. All right? They ignored Lincoln's Emancipation Order. That didn't go into effect immediately either, did it? Right? Because that's just what Democrats do. All right? And at that time, David Hunter was trying to emancipate blacks, even have them armed. Right? Yeah, that's Republicans, y'all. Right? So when Democrats try to say that, the NRA and all that sort of stuff, the NRA was welcoming the blacks in their organization. Wasn't particularly founded for blacks, as some people try to say, or on the right try to say, not particularly. It was to make sure that the marksmanship was maintained because, well, after the Civil War, the Democrats got really mad and they formed things like the KKK. So the Union Army wasn't quite done and they still had some fighting against terrorism to do. Okay? And they were like, hey, blacks, y'all want to learn how to shoot too? They're like, yeah. All right. So that's how that rolled out. Okay. But in this time, like I said, without the proper contingencies, without the proper recourse, and just go ahead and do that, the bloodbath would have been worse than the Civil War. Okay. When you have Democrats that are able still to say like, no, man, we're keeping our grip on the slave market. We do not acknowledge their personhood. We're going to put into effect that fugitive slave rights and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so Lincoln couldn't just go ahead and just emancipate them just like that. He would have actually gotten a lot of them killed. Would have got a lot more people killed probably. All right, so yes, there was political, social, cultural, military ramifications to doing things like that. He couldn't just do that. All right, so now we get who we got here. David Parker. Excuse me. David Parker says, take down our statues of people that champion freedom, raise statues of George Floyd. Hello from Clown World. I said, wait a minute, wait. Take down statues of people who champion freedom. Yeah, I definitely had to clear that frog. Look here. So let me reiterate this again. I have not been a proponent of taking down the Confederate monuments. And my reasons are totally different from the conservatives out there who have given these Democrats a means to beat us over the head with. We got them out there saying, we need to leave up these monuments and the flags because it's about heritage and history. I'm like, heritage and history of what? You can't just say that they represent heritage and history. It has to represent the heritage and history of something. And that heritage and history belongs to the Democrats. Y'all keep leaving that out. Those are the reasons why you should not have taken the monuments down and put on them, emblazoned on them. These were Democrats. So Republicans didn't do that. And that's why it's why it makes it so easy for people to blame you for those things. So you claim that these people are champions of freedom. Y'all, they went to war under the Confederate Constitution. The Confederate Constitution makes it in clear language provisions for the enslavement of the Negro. They went to war under that Constitution. These were Democrats. So champions of freedom? That's what you think that these people are? Now, George Floyd don't get my vote. He wasn't no saint. All right, I'll tell you straight up, man. It's like, look, man, he was a menace to society, really. You know, I have no a favor for George Floyd. I don't like the way that he ended up dying. I think that was uncalled for, very. You know, and that's a whole other chapter right there. But that doesn't make these Confederate people in history champions of freedom. And y'all want to make excuses for them about why they fought for the Confederates. Oh, they were just trying to protect their territory. No, yeah, whatever. They went to war under oath of the Confederate Constitution and went to war against the U.S. Constitution. You know that document that y'all claim to love so much? Yeah, these people went to war against it. That document that acknowledges the God-given rights of man. That document that is actually, the text backing up our freedom and our rights, right? That go ahead and codifies it, right? Based on the word of God. We had that. Well, these people went to war against that. But you call them champions of freedom. These are the reasons why Republicans lose in the culture. These people are liabilities to us and saboteurs. If you want to stand up to somebody, you might want to start with them. All right. This person comes in and says the war wasn't about slavery until it was all over. The first secession was about slavery. The war was about Lincoln's. The first secession was about slavery. The war was about Lincoln's tyrannical greed. Okay, and let me just let's just stop right there. Okay, you have these people out there who think that somehow Lincoln wanted to benefit from the industries of the South. No. Where they try to make like the North had slavery too, and that they wanted to benefit, and they wanted to benefit for what the South was doing, and the South wanted to secede so it can just have sovereignty over their industry and stuff like that. No. The Democrats in the North, and that's why you had slavery in the North also, because you had Democrats there. Y'all trying to pin that on Lincoln. Okay, the Republican Party wasn't even around hardly yet. They weren't around long enough to be interested in slavery. Not too long after they were founded, and they were founded for the purpose of abolishing slavery. When did they have time to own slaves? When did Lincoln have time to be greedy about it? Okay, so I think you're barking up the wrong tree here. That's Democrats who are doing that. The Democrats of the North didn't want the secession. They wanted slavery to expand to all the territories. Lincoln was like, yeah, we're not doing that. However, Lincoln did know that the Democrats would fight. The Northern Democrats would be okay with fighting the Southern Democrats to keep the Union together, because Democrats wanted to keep that slave market for the whole thing. They wanted the benefits. Maybe have you forgotten how Democrats are? How covetous they are? And the measures that they will take to get into somebody else's industry and into their pockets. Are you not looking around to see how they are? Have you not stopped to think that that's how they were back then too? Yeah. Even if you got a Republican president, have you not seen the damage that they can do? Even if you have Trump was kind of kicked off of social media and kicked out of the White House. Have you forgotten what kind of damage Democrats can do? So these are Democrats back then also. And yeah, they wanted to get in that Kool-Aid also. All right. Yeah, but you want to blame Lincoln for being a tyrant. Why? Because he came in and said, hey, Democrats, you can't be taking liberties with other people's rights like this. And see, Democrats are really good at playing victims, and they're good at dragging other people into their victim mindset and making them think that somebody else was the tyrant. Yeah, Democrats are really good at it. They got you too. Oh, they got you, baby. You brainwashed by them. You've allowed the Democrats to posture themselves as the victims and who are actually victimizing people, and then made Lincoln out to be the bully because he came in and said, knock that off. They got you. They do it to this very day. They did it back then. Calling Lincoln a tyrant of Northern aggression. Lincoln wasn't aggressive against the South. Lincoln was aggressive against Democrats. That's the difference. But see, y'all got caught up into the masterful manipulation of the Democrat Party, who plays on people's sentiments. Like territory. People are very sentiment about their territory, aren't they? Yeah. See, Democrats are really good at that. That's how they were able to make the narrative about North and South, rather than between the war between Republican and Democrat. See, y'all don't know who Democrats are, man. That's the problem. You don't know. You're so caught up with what they do. You think you're so informed about what they do, but you don't know who they are. Okay? You might want to study that Bible. It'll let you know. Things like they are the father of the devil, and the sins of the father they will do. And including those sins are accusations, and accusations are very effective. The name of Satan himself, it means accuser. So when the Democrats get out there and effectively accuse you, slander you, it works, don't it? It's even better when they get you to help them do it. Yeah, and they got you helping them do it. So, let me see. You know, and like I said, y'all, you think these people, you think people like, and don't get me wrong, man, I ain't stumping for Liz Cheney. I ain't condoning Mitt Romney. I'm not saying that these people are any friends of mine. But do you think that people like Nancy Pelosi and Schumer and all these Democrats, elites, you think that they're relying on people like Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney to do the damage that they're doing? They're relying on these people. These are the people that help them do the damage that they do. That's why. This is how Democrats are able to make these advances, because people want to hold on to these ideals. That's why. It doesn't seem to register with so many Republicans that the biggest weapon that the Democrats have is the race baiting issue. And where do they get their supply from? They get it from Republicans. They just hand it to them. And then Republicans want to get mad about how Democrats advance in the culture, and they don't want to see it. You know, so y'all, once again, this is the help that you actually need. You're not gonna you can go ahead and stomp your foot and get all mad and say how tired of the race baiting issue you are. I hear you, and I appreciate it, because I am too. But what I'm sick and tired of is people trying to is thinking that, wishing that it will go away. It doesn't. It's going to take some of that hard work. You know. So and I guess, you know, and y'all, it isn't about telling you to adopt some new lifestyle. It's not about telling you that you have to appreciate these things or partake in these things that maybe that are more prevalent per se in Black culture or anything like that. It's not about that. It's not about, because there are certain things that in different cultures that, you know, look, man, I'm just not into that. Right? It doesn't particularly interest me. You know, if there's maybe certain prevalent things that are, and I'm not, and for the sake of sound like stereotyping, I don't mean to do that, but there are certain things that people can identify that seem more familiar with certain cultures, right? So like, you know, maybe if you go into more of the southern states, you know, where they might have, you know, like I don't know, country music or something like that. I'm not particularly a fan of country music. I'll enjoy it if it's playing, but would I go out and buy a CD? No, most likely not. And these are things that are often more associated with white people. Doesn't mean that Black folks don't do it too. Don't mean that Black folks don't have a history with country music. But it's something that's more familiar in terms of, like, you know, white Southern people. And it's you know, and it's just not a sound that is, you know, for me, particularly appealing. Like I said, if it's some good country, I'll listen to it, you know? And like I said, I'm not like, ew, country music. It's, hey, man, if it's good, it's good. But like I said, I probably wouldn't go out and buy a CD, right? Just the same way as some of y'all might, look, man, I don't particularly like rap music. Rap music, which is most likely familiar in terms of black culture. And somebody said, look, man, I don't have any problem with, with these cultures and stuff like that. But there's certain things, man, look, man, I don't want to sit there and pretend like, oh, I'm all about it. I'm really into it. Hey, look, black guys, I like you too. No, I don't, you don't have to do any of that. Right? We don't have to sit there and try to pretend like we enjoy these things. We don't. This is and please don't misunderstand. Nobody's trying to tell you to do that. What I'm trying to tell you is that you have to be prepared. That's what you kind of talk about, right? Being ready. You got to be prepared to run interference on Democrats, because Democrats are the ones who are going in and patronizing these cultures and making connections with them and leading them to the voting booths. And you're not running interference because I guess what you don't have the time. Or you don't have the time, you don't have the energy, you don't have the interest, but you seem interested enough about complaining about where your country's going. Well, see, that stuff takes work. See, Democrats are obsessed with race. Okay? Leave the obsession with race, to them. You don't have to become all about being fixated on race like they are. You don't have to be fixated on the black community. You don't have to be fixated on the Hispanic or the Asian or the white community, whichever branch of the white community is. Like like the Irish, you may feel like they're marginalized and things like that. Remember we did in our history Nina, right? It's not about pandering or patronizing these people. It's not about that. Be respectful, be courteous and stuff like that. Of course, we want to be neighborly to each other. But that doesn't mean that we're obligated to pretend like we enjoy certain things about people's culture. We don't have to do that. What I'm saying is that you need to learn how to run interference on Democrats, which y'all ain't doing. Democrats have a particular interest in these people's votes, and they control them, whether they control their vote or control their population. That's what Democrats do. And Republicans don't get it. And instead, what Republicans do is that they just hand everything over to Democrats to go ahead and keep on doing what they're doing, and then want to butthurt because of all the damage that Democrats do. That's what y'all aren't understanding. So when you got people out there saying that Juneteenth is a white guilt holiday, you just handed that over to the Democrats, and now they're able to do more damage. So it's just like when I talk about when Trump, had that rally that he was going to do, and it fell on Juneteenth. He didn't know. He didn't know anything about Juneteenth. It's kind of sad, dude, because these are at the beginnings. These are foundational for the Republican Party. You didn't know that, but you run it as a Republican? Lots of Republicans don't know. Lots of Republicans, they don't really know what the history of the Republican Party is. They don't know. They don't know what it was founded for. All right? So not only did Trump, not know, he gave up ground on that day. He changed the day. And so Trump, who's the, I'm big bad Trump and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, let the Democrats kick him off the stump that day. So if they were able to kick him off of that stump that day, then of course they're going to be able to kick him out of the White House too. Yeah. See, Trump didn't hold the line. He should have said, no. We doing this today. Right? And we're going to talk about Juneteenth, and we're going to talk about our history of it. And we ain't going to let the Democrats have it. You ain't going to use this on us. You ain't taking credit for this. Did Trump do that? No. I've been trying to warn Trump, but it's like, I'm nobody, guys. I understand. It's not like I got a Trump on speed dial I can talk to him. It's not like I don't know people who don't know him, who work for him. Say, hey, look, man, I'm trying to help y'all. You guys might not want to do this. You might want to stop saying that. You might want to start saying this. Ignored, brush off. Right? Gave, and just over and over again, just kept giving Democrats everything that they need to vilify Republicans in the culture. And you wonder why. You wonder why somebody like Hunter Biden can just keep on doing what he's doing. And you're wondering why by these things, it's like you sit there and wonder why, how bad does it have to get before people start waking up and realizing? Because Democrats have been so effective at vilifying you, using the race narrative to do it. That's why. And they're able to get away with this stuff over and over again. So, folks, these people who come on here who just ignore all of this. So some people you can't, it just bounces right off their head. They're so prideful and just so hung up on this narrative that they're going to stick to about Lincoln being a tyrant and how Juneteenth is just some Democrat strategy of white guilt. They're just going to stick to that. That's their prerogative. The response to that is when you see stuff like that, you really should go in there, just leave a comment. Say, man, that ain't welcome here. Just leave it at that. You ain't got to sit there and go round and round and round with them. Just let them know. Dude, that's not welcome here. Make it hard. Make it hard for Democrats to pin this on you. Make it hard for them to say that this is something that we tolerate, that we're welcoming of it, we're accepting of it. Because y'all, they use this against you. And the thing is, it shouldn't be true about the Republican Party because of what the Republican Party was founded for. Now the Republican Party thinks that it's the party of jobs. Oh, we're the party of jobs and a good economy and a strong national defense. That's not really being evident. All right. Now, people can go ahead and say that, well, if Biden wouldn't have stolen the White House, wait. That's just proving my point. Republicans are supposed to be the party of strong national defense, and you couldn't defend this country from Biden? Yeah, of course the Democrats stole. Of course they cheated. That's what we're supposed to do. Stop people from stealing and cheating. Okay? That's who Democrats are. They're liars, thieves, cheats. So we're the party of a robust economy. That economy was busted like that. And I told y'all how it would happen. This is how this economy that you're boasting in will bust. It will have the rug snatched out from underneath it. And I told you how. So, you want jobs? People losing them jobs, right? And there's supposed to be a surplus of jobs out there. People can't get people to work for them. It went from, dude, we have to give $1,000 bonuses in order to get people to work for us. It went from that to now, where the jobs going? People losing jobs. They can't afford to pay them. Gas prices are too high. Trying to get goods and stuff like that is too high. You got Amazon sit out there boasting, we're going to be paying people $15 an hour, $50 an hour. You can't afford it now, can you? Y'all contributed to the bust too. So you have these things that go down, and you got Republicans trying to sit there and boast in a good economy, jobs, and a strong national defense. All three of which the ball was dropped on. And if Republicans would have remembered why the Republican Party was founded in the first place, then everything else would have better fallen into place. You would have been able to uphold those boastings of an economy and jobs. Even Trump was out there, boasting is, saying that, hey, with the black community, lowest unemployment rate ever. That's fantastic. That's great. But what did I tell you? I said, that's political. That is not going to hold up. That's not going to hold up if you don't lay the cultural groundwork for it. And Trump sabotaged himself, and a lot of his voters sabotaged themselves and him in the moves that they made in the culture. And it got snatched up from underneath them. You see what I'm saying? So folks, once again, this is something that, y'all can do. You see comments like that. Like I said, you ain't got to sit there and waste your time going round and round with them because most likely they ain't going to listen to you anyway. But it should be known. This ain't welcome here. Get out of our tent. Right? I see a whole bunch of conservatives all the time saying, I'm leaving the Republican Party. Why? If you're the true actual Republican, why are you leaving? Why don't you make them leave? But you can't. And we talk about we need to get out there and deport them illegal immigrants. We need to kick them out. You can't even kick saboteurs out of your own party. All right. So, it's baby steps, y'all. At least try to get some first downs. Okay. Y'all thinking that y'all gonna make touchdowns every time. There's things that you have to work. You have to work your way down that field, okay? There's some work that has to be done. And sometimes the work ain't something that you particularly may want to do. That's in every job. And if you want to keep this country, there's going to be some work that's going to have to be done. There's going to be some sacrifices. And you may have to sacrifice some of your time to understand how Democrats are able to go in and make these people voter blocks and block them instead. But Republicans don't do that. And that's why you're losing your republic. Actually, in effect, you've lost it. And if you want to actually get it back, well, these are some of the measures that you're going to have to do. And you might want to stop thumbing your nose at Juneteenth. Man, it's just not a good idea. You might want to stop thumbing your nose at why when you see black people out there so disgruntled. You know, they didn't just particularly make themselves that way. It's engineered. And Democrats have gaslit. Democrats are waging a race war. Democrats are the reason why blacks don't like Republicans. And Democrats are the reason why Republicans are more and more not liking blacks, particularly white Republicans. Democrats have put them in a way that, y'all, I'm sorry, have you forgotten the strategy of divide and conquer? The so-called party of diversity? How many times do I got to say? Diversity and divide share the same root. That is their strategy, is division under the fanciful guise of diversity. And they are pitting white Republicans against blacks, not even particularly black Democrats. You can feel it, how Republicans are being gaslit into getting sick of blacks. Oh, they know the Democrats are the enemy, but the Democrats have made blacks the shield that goes in front of them. So it's going to be the blacks that the Republicans, white Republicans in particular, it's going to be blacks that they're going to take their issues out on first, while Democrats sit back. So it's unfortunate a lot of Republicans don't see that. The reason, like I said, again, the reason why so many blacks are so concentrated on their black identity and are so at odds with white people in their apprehensions of whites taking away their identity, particularly Republican whites, is because Democrats have firsthand influence over them to see things that way. And Republicans don't really do anything about it, except sit back and get mad because of the way black people act and how they vote. So, yeah, Republicans, you got to be a little bit more proactive. Sorry that you don't just get to enjoy your freedom. Things have to be maintained. You don't just get to enjoy your car. You got to maintain it. You don't get to just enjoy your house. You got to maintain it. You don't get to just enjoy your country. You got to maintain it. You got to guard it. And the ones out to steal your country are Democrats. And this is how they do it. But I guess you're not going to be ready to fight back until you get to shoot at somebody. You might want to start doing these things before that. Like I said, you don't want to underestimate them with this because they run all the avenues of communication. Kind of hard to fight a war when you can't communicate with each other. What you going to do? You're going to get out there and use some freaking semaphore? Well, them homosexuals out there, they're really good at waving flags around too. Oh, right over here, girlfriend. Look at, right? So don't be waving them flags and they ain't gonna know what to do. What other avenues of communication you got? When they control it all. You might want to stop underestimating these people and stop overestimating yourself. Overestimate God for sure. He's worth it. You know? But I'm telling you, Republicans, there's some work that's got to be done, but you're waiting for the politicians to do it. You know, that government that you say is the problem, not the answer, but you're waiting for a politician to do it. We're going to hold our politicians' feet to the fire. Y'all too afraid to hold yourselves to the fire. Iron sharpens iron, remember? Like I said, you ain't going to call each other out. You ain't going to do that. You don't want to get cussed out. Right? You don't want to get defriended on Facebook. So, you know, but like I said, y'all who tune into to TZL and Prescripted, you guys know what I'm talking about. You know what's up. There's a message. This message that's got to get out there to a lot of these other Republicans who don't really know what the deal is, who are just getting fed a bunch of red meat, and that's all they want. and they don't know what to do with it. They're just informed, which is great. Don't know what to do with it. So, y'all, I hope that you guys will share this video. Work that share button till it smokes, right? Drop a buck in the bucket and keep your brozo on the go. Make sure you get these mugs, because you know we need that head right, man. We ain't gonna let these people make us crazy, right? Get your cup of head right. Get your shirt. Get inoculated. We got them summertime shirts. I got these in white also. I don't wear the white shirt because on camera it mess things up, right? So I wear the black shirt. But it's summertime, man. Y'all want to get these Zoloft shirts? Let people know where they can come to get their head right too. You know, come on and get your we'll make freedom fashionable again. All right, y'all. I'll see you at bronzeserpentmedia.com. Come and get your goods. All right, y'all. Appreciate you guys so much for taking the time to listen to my rantings. You know, I'm the clown prince of right-wing rantagonism. All right, y'all.